ladies and gentlemen, good morning everybody. I hope you had a great weekend, and I had it, so this means that I had no time to look at all the CV that I received. It's long, because I got 20 applications, 20 CV. I need time because I take it serious, so I need to read it. I tell you tomorrow about the two remaining internship who's gonna do the video recording. Okay, so many people. It's difficult. It's very difficult to make a decision. I wish somebody had to make this decision instead of me, because it's pretty difficult. But tomorrow I'm gonna tell you the two people who's gonna record the video at the place of Mazim, first of all, and thank you, Mazim, for what you did for us. Iraqi engineer, he fixed all the problem. Also, if you can see this, it's thanks to Mazim, because he fixed the problem with the projector. So, Iraqi engineer, very good, and thank you, Charlotte, for what you're doing for this video recording. So, I'll tell you tomorrow about the internships, difficult because you so many. Then, oral presentation slide preparation. Tomorrow we have the first oral presentation by Luisa Allegra from Chile, and thank you for volunteering. So let's see again. Oral presentation slide preparation. There are still students who ask me this via email. So first, please use email and don't write me on Microsoft Teams. Second, if you have questions about oral presentation, then everything in the course is better if you ask in the classes, so everything know it. Then if you write me privately, because if you write me privately, I answer to you, and then your colleagues also has the doubt, and another one is going to write me the same thing. Good morning, Sabrina. So, oral presentation is like preparation. Again, oral presentation is individual, meaning, today we were going to see what is oral presentation. So, you're going to prepare a presentation on a book and present it individually. It's not by group. Everyone it presents. How does it work, the oral presentation? The oral presentation is on the most important book written by the author you choose. This author, you know what are the authors, because you took pictures, you have it online, so it can be, today is St. Augustine, next time is Machiavelli, then we have Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, Montesquieu, and blah blah blah. So you pick the author, you pick his most important book, and you prepare an oral presentation on this. The oral presentation is 2-3 minutes. You talk about the book, when it was written, why it was written, what is the main message, and the other 3-4 minutes you prepare reading, meaning that you read some parts of the book, slides for your colleagues they can read. Also, you put music or you don't put music. This is your choice. Okay, so this is oral presentation. What is slide preparation? Slide preparation is you take notes on my class and you do the perfect slides to summarize what I said today. Is this clear, or anybody has doubt about it? Okay, this is clear. So right now we have a list of students who want to do this. Let me be clear. Oral presentation, slide preparation is voluntary. You do it if you want to boost your final grade, or if you're interested in an author, or you want to boost your skills in oral presentation, which is so important, but it doesn't make a big difference in terms of final grade. Same thing, attending the class. So for sure, if you attend the class, you're better prepared for the exam, but it's not compulsory. I take presence of people because I want to know how many people from which countries. I like numbers, figures, statistics, and so on. So I take this, but it doesn't make a difference. For sure that at the end of the exam, if you attended the class, you'll be much more prepared and you know exactly what we're talking about. But we also had students who didn't attend and took the maximum. So not compulsory, much better, but not compulsory. So this is why I take presence. So today, please, Alisa, thank you so much. You pass the paper. In the paper you write name, surname, nationality, and a third thing. Those who already are in this list and who already volunteered for an oral presentation or slide preparation, just name, family name and nationality. The other who still want to make a presentation, make the presentation. Right, I want to do an oral presentation on this, I'd like preparation on this. Oral presentations can be also about topics that you like more than the ones we have in the list. So, for example, we have an Iranian student who wants to make a presentation about westernization. Where is it? Waxtoxication. So about a thinker, which is a Persian thinker, right? What's the name?
Jalal al-Ahmad.
Yeah. What is he a post-colonial theorist or what?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you for offering. You know, we want to go. This course wants to go post-colonial, global, and so on. So non-Western thinkers more than welcome. Thank you for offering. So if you have a thinker you like and is not in the program, you can go to the thinker who's not in the program. So here we have the calendar. So today we have Luisa on St. Augustine. Then next time tomorrow we have Daria on Machiavelli. And on Wednesday we start with contractarianism and we have Hobbes with Victoria. Still after Hobbes we have a blank space. We have Locke and liberalism, and we have Rousseau and democracy. If somebody wants to volunteer, please write your name. So for now, we're all set. Then we have Alisa on Montesquieu and Aruzan on Enlightenment. And then we go on. So if you want to add your slide preparation or our presentation, you go on with this. Okay. The calendar might change. Fortunately, we're a bit forward on the schedule, so we can focus more on contemporary things. Let's start today's class. So today's class we start with a new topic, which is Middle Ages. Middle Ages we took as a synonym of Christianity, because during the Middle Ages the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, was the most important political institution. It ruled. So, let's get back to the previous two classes. In the previous classes, we went through classic political thought, which is antiquity, which is ancient Greece and ancient Rome. So, what do you have to remember about this first part of the course, antiquity, Greece, Middle Ages? You have to remember that first, we started politics in the polis. The word politics comes from the word polis, which is the ancient Greek cities in which Western people for the first time started to try to build political institutions for self-government. What they invented was the word politics, the word democracy. They started a new form of living together, and indeed Aristotle said humans are political animals because they cooperate in a political way to pursue mutual benefit. They believe that cooperating in a political way, building political institutions, building governments, it's a better form to live together and to improve the welfare of the community. This is politics. Politics is that you organize together to improve the welfare, to improve the well-being. So, the point is that when you build up political communities, and when you build up government, the government can improve the well-being of the population. But you must put people in government, and these people can act in their own private interest instead of the public interest, and this fact act the government, because this government is not anymore for the public interest, for the public welfare, but is for the private interest, and so it's not a good idea anymore. Politics doesn't work anymore. So the ancient Greece, the ancient Romans were obsessed with this fact of acting in the public interest. And so when you rule in the public interest, they use this word for people who rule in the public interest that you must have, which is, how can we say when you rule in the public interest? Virtue. Very important, this virtue. So that we have seen that Aristotle built up these three forms of government. He went all around Greece, observed all the city-states, all the polis, and said, I observed all the polis. I see that we have three different forms of government. Monarchy, when there is one person in charge of ruling. Oligarchy, when there are aristocracy, when there are few people in charge of governing. And there is polity, when there is all the people governing. And you say, there is not a good or bad form of government. Probably the best form of government is mixing the three. But the point which makes a difference is not if it's a monarchy, aristocracy, or polity. The very good point is if those who are ruling, which is one person in monarchy, which is few people in aristocracy, which is many people in the polity, ruling their own interest or in the public interest. As far as they rule in the public interest, all these three forms of government can work well. But when they start ruling in their own interest, meaning without virtue, then it degenerates. Monarchy becomes tyranny, aristocracy becomes oligarchy, and polity becomes democracy. Both Aristotle and Plato use the word democracy in a bad way, because he say, the people are governed by passion. They rule in their own immediate interest. They don't have, knowledge of the thing, of the general interest. So they didn't thought democracy was the best form of government. Aristotle said, the best form of government is mixing the three. So, from here, we shifted, let's say only this, about ancient Greek philosophy, try to remember these points. And we moved to Roman. The Romans, they built up a republic in Rome, very important, because then they conquered the world. So, the Romans, as we say, they were not that sophisticated as the Greeks in philosophy, but they were very good in law, engineering, and art. So in law, what they did, they took the ideas of Aristotle and they said, that's a nice idea, let's do it for real. So they built a republic in which there were the three forms of government mixed together. The monarchy, because they have two councils that rule as a kind of monarchy, but they were two, one in charge of the government, one in charge of the army, and they stayed there only for 1 year because they wanted to avoid domination. They wanted to avoid that monarchy becomes a tyranny by giving too much power to one single person. Then they have the aristocracy, which was the Senate. The Senate is the old wise people, aristocrats in Rome, that when they got a certain age, they could become a member of the Senate. 300 people for life. You enter the Senate when you're Senate, means when you're old, but you stay there for the rest of your life. And it's an expression of aristocracy. What is aristocracy? Aristocracy, Aristos means the best ones, crassy government. So aristocracy is the government of those who are the best. So in the Senate were coming people coming from the noble family, rich, wealthy, but also very wise. Maybe they have fought for Rome, and they were very brave at war, so they go to the Senate. Maybe they wrote good books, so they went to the Senate. Maybe they did something good for the government. Maybe they were very good engineers. I mean, the best people, they go to the Senate because they were supposed to be very, 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 very smart. But they also had the people, normal people, the plebeians, and they had their own institution, the tribunes of the plebeians. So this is the democratic part. They have their own representatives, the tribunes of the plebs, who defended their interests, so they could veto. So the Senate wants to take an initiative, wants to make a decision. But if the representatives of the people say no, they cannot do it. So they mixed these three forms. and they really cared about the fact of having the republic. Republic, crucial concept that you have to retain from ancient political thought. Crucial. The Republic is the most important. Indeed, the most important book by Plato was the Republic. The most important book by Cicero is the Republic. They both wrote about the Republic. They were obsessed with building a good republic. What is a republic? What is a republic? Is a political association who wants to be free from domination. Who wants to be free from domination. So, instead of having a monarch who somehow owns the state, who is the representative of the state, who embodies the state, the republic is considered something public. Res, you know that the Romans taught Latin. Latin is, res is a Latin word which means the thing, the public thing. Res publica means republic, means understanding that the political institution, that the political thing belongs to everybody of us, and so we have to take care of this all together. We don't have to delegate the government, the ruler, the monarch. We take care of the republic all together with civic engagement, with civic duty, with civic virtue. This means the republic is different from democracy. In democracy, everyone has just the right to participate, to say your voice. In a republic, you also have the duty to take care of it and not to wait for the government to take initiative. As we say, you know, if the public square here in front of the university is dirty, you know, if we just believe in a democracy, in the state, you wait for the government to send, you know, public servant to clean up the road. In a republic, we organize all together, we gather together and we say, okay, today we're gonna spend our free time all together to take care of our public space all together. This means acting with civic virtue, civic engagement. So, in a republic, there is a duty to participate. There is a duty to be ready to fight for the republic, to take the arms and to fight for it. It is a duty to participate in the political life of the community. So this is the first concept you have to retain for ancient political thought: republic and republicanism. Republic and republicanism, which means, you know, everybody is active, everybody takes part. Everybody has rights because it has also duty, and the duty is, you know, to fight, to have army, to resist domination, and so on, to defend your republic. This is how it works, the idea of republic. So, republic, virtue. Virtue is crucial for a republic to work well, and citizenship. Citizenship. Citizenship, what does it mean? Citizenship means what make a distinction between us and the other, and the others. So us as the political community, as the belonging, as the republic. So if you have citizenship, you're a member of this res publica, of this public thing. It's like having a membership, you know? Today it's even you have a card for the membership, which is your passport. In your passport you have the nationality. This means you belong to this political community. So, citizenship. In ancient Greece, you know, they invented the idea of the citizen, where the guy who was, or the citizen who were a member of the polis, were member of the polis, and this membership gives you rights and gives you duties. Today, this membership is about being member of a nation, but this idea of nation only came up very late in history with the French Revolution, so we still have to wait like 17th century before this happened. Before, the political community was different, like in ancient Greece was being, for example, Athenian, was being part of the political community, was being a citizen of the political community, no? So this was the difference between the different, you have different cities, and in these cities you have citizenship, you have citizens. Outside of this very well organized situation, they call all the others the barbarians. Why? Because they didn't understand when they talked, like they thought they were talking like ba. They didn't understand, and they call it the barbarians. The barbarians, and the Greeks say yes, the barbarians with civilized. We have citizenship, we have political institution, we govern all together, we're free from despotism, and so on. They are barbarians because we cannot even understand when they talk ba. So this is the situation. This is the ancient political thought: polis, republic, virtue, citizenship. You have two ways to think of citizenship. One was the ancient Greece. No, they thought you were ancient by blood. Means if your parents are Athenians, you can be Athenians. They can pass you this blood. So this is jus sanguinis. This is jus sanguinis that we still have in Italy. Jus sanguinis, no, meaning that you think you have Italian blood in your body. So, for example, we have people who at the beginning of the 20th century, 100 years ago, went to Argentina. We have a huge emigration to Argentina. Still now, Argentinians who never came to Italy, who don't speak one word of Italian, after 3 generations they can claim Italian citizenship because we think they have in the blood. Jus sanguinis, okay? This was ancient Greece. The Romans, yes?
Actually, it's more than 3 generations. Italy is one of the few countries in the world where you can claim, if you can claim that one of your ancestors had Italian blood, you can actually become. My great grandfather was Italian, so I could claim it according to the embassy at least.
How many generations?
5.
5 generations.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could claim it.
Yeah. As long as you get proof that that person had the person that was born and then he can get to you. You can find all of their documents. You're game. You're on.
So 5 generations.
It's
Great.
Yeah, Genoa.
Oh my God! Yeah. You didn't claim it.
I haven't. No.
Why?
Because it's a lot of work, and I would have to go to Genoa and find like their
Yeah.
documents.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go around, because they were coming from southern deprived region, Sicily and Calabria and Basilicata and so on. So if you go around, even right now, you find many young people at the bar who are probably Argentinian. Even here at the Ghetry, we had three Argentinian guys serving, because they come here, and they have to go to the archives and to find back all the things and so on. If you find it, you can claim citizenship. So differently, like for example, in France they have the jus soli. What does it mean? Soli means soil. So if you're born in the French soil, you can claim citizenship. Jus solis versus jus sanguinis. Doesn't mean that it's not the blood that makes you French, but it's the soil. Here's the thing. You have to, but then we will see. But is the republic, because in France they very much Republican. So they say, yeah, the soil doesn't matter if you're black, white, Jewish, blah 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 blah. Doesn't matter. But you have to believe in the values of the republic, because in France they're very Republican. So they put they put a lot of money in school because they want in the school to translate the values of the republic, which is liberté, égalité, fraternité. So as far as you believe in liberté, égalité, fraternité, you can become a citizenship, especially if you're born in the French soil. Doesn't matter if you have the French blood in your body, because France is a republic which is based on the ideals of that were established by the French Revolution. So we have this jus soli. Jus soli was invented by the Romans, because the Romans, we saw that from the Republic they started an empire. They started to conquer, and it was the first globalization in history, because at the time world was more or less Europe and North Africa, and they conquered all this, but it was difficult for them to govern such a huge empire, so they started to give citizenship. They said, If you're born within the territory of the Roman Empire, you have Roman citizenship. You have some duty and some rights of a Roman. The state will try to help you, you know? But you also have to serve in the army because you're a citizen. So this was the Romans. The Romans, as you see, they build up a very nice republic, but they also destroyed it. Destroyed it because the army was very important in a republic. The army is always very important. We say that a republic, you have to be arms. Every citizen has to be arms, has to be ready to defend it. So the army was crucial in the Roman Republic. But this ended up in the fact that the army got more power than the government. And so the most important generals in the army also always wanted to take all the power. So we had an important general who did great things for Rome, whose name was Caesar, Julius Caesar, who started for the first saying, okay, finish the republic, it's an empire, and I'm the emperor. And I'm the emperor. They cared a lot about the republic, so they thought, yeah, Julius Caesar, thank you so much for everything you have done for us, please come to the Senate and talk to us, and at the Senate they stopped it. Because they cared about the republic, as Cicero wrote, the most important Roman thinker, Cicero. They really loved the idea of the republic, of republicanism. So they stopped Julius Caesar, but at the time it was already gone. So they started an empire, and this empire is kind of the decline. It still existed for a while, but it started to be attacked by the barbarians. This time the barbarians from the north, you know, especially from Germany. The Germans came and started to attack the empire, and so they slowly destroyed it. So yeah, we see the 3rd century after Annus Dominis, after Christ, the German tribes, the barbarian also, began to penetrate into the Roman Empire. The Germanic attacks intensified during the 4th and the 5th centuries until the substance and Roman civil authority was undermined. So, 410 after Christ, the Visigoths sacked the city of Rome. You know? So, in 476, the last Roman emperor, Romulus, was killed by the German warlord Odo Wasser. So this was the thing, this was the map. So we have these German populations coming from the north and destroying the Roman Empire. So we are done with antiquity. With antiquity we are done. Let's say antiquity, we finish in 400 after Christ. In the 4th century after Christ, we're done with antiquity because these barbarians came and destroyed the Roman Empire. But we say this is what the history has to say. But here we do history of political thought, we do political philosophy here. So we want to understand why the Roman Empire collapsed. What was the problem in theory? Why? What was the crisis? What was the political crisis, the intellectual crisis? And here we have to start slightly before 452. We start with the year 0, because in year 0, new ideas came up. There was a guy, in Palestine, who started to say new things, that were profoundly different from what the Romans said. Because the Roman, they said, we believe in republic, we're powerful, we're good at war, we want domination, we have our own gods which are pagan and which are full of energy, full of anger, full of, will of domain, of conquer. We're full of energy, we want to destroy, we want to dominate, we want to build a powerful civilization, we have slaves, we enslave all the other people, Whilst this guy, Jesus Christ from Palestine, he grew up and he started to say new things, you know. So he started to say very new things and he built up a new philosophy, a new ideology. So excuse, this is an emergency, excuse me 1 second. Lei la sta facendo lezione, not interesting but for you, but for me it's an emergency. So this guy, Jesus Christ, he started to say different things. He started to say, no, there is different principles, you know, we can build a different kind of humanity in which we accept each other, we take care of each other. It's not based on domination, but it's based on, you know, values like love, respect, and so on. And so he started to take many followers. Many followers. At the beginning, they were persecuted by the Roman authority. They were persecuted. So they were persecuted by Roman authority, and they killed them, basically. They said, I'm interested in your religion, yes, I'm here, boom, and they killed. And they wanted to, and you know, and they enjoyed to be killed somehow. They said, yeah, I want to be killed for my religion because I'm gonna go to the city of God from here. So, by the start of the 4th century, under the Emperor Constantine, the persecution ended. So for 300 years, it was illegal to be Christian. It was illegal to be Christian. Okay? But, you know, they started to build secret communities, and, you know, they started to be organized politically. So San Pietro, San Peter, he started to build up a new political institution, which was the church. So they started a government, actually, because the church was a form of government for the Christian community. So, and they say, and they started the Bishop of Rome, which was to become the Pope, which now is Pope Francis, who is in the hospital, and we hold a hope it's gonna get better. So, but then they decided, okay, the Bishop of Rome is gonna be the leader of our entire community. The Roman Church assumed authority over the affairs of Roman territories in Western Europe. So, why they grew up so much? Because people were marginalized, people who were weak, slaves especially. People who were enslaved, who had a very shitty life. You know, being a slave is a shitty life. You're set. The Christians started to say, we care about you. You can be part of our community. We value. We don't believe that you have to be strong, that you have to be powerful, that you have to dominate. We value, you know, weakness. We value respect. We value the last people in society. So, you know, so the slaves started to become Christians, the members of the lower classes. And we know that we were in a decline of the Roman Empire. So many people were sad, many people were marginalized, many people had economic hardships and so on. And Christian values gave a new answer, which means, yeah, you're suffering in this life, but we value your suffering, and we promise you that you will have a better life after you die, because you will be member of the Christian community, of the Christian citizenship. And Christian citizenship gives you a membership, a card, that after you die, you go there, you show to St. Peter, and St. Peter say, okay, you can go to paradise, and you will have a beautiful life. This was very powerful at the time, you know, was very different from the Roman values. So it was this promise of salvation. If you become member of our community, we'll give you this membership will give you access to salvation. Salvation will give you access to paradise, and after you die, you'll be happy. In this life, you have to suffer, but we have a new philosophy which values suffering. It's different from the Roman philosophy, which is domination, which is power, which is war, which is enjoy life at the full, which is, you know, being full of we will see with Nietzsche again this kind of discourse. So this was growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. So the Romans were not stupid. They started to say, yeah, probably it's better if you try to incorporate this to save the Roman Empire. So for 300 years they persecuted, but then, then they started to embrace the Christianity, and even in 368 the Emperor Theodosius made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. And in 380 the Edict of Thessalonica made Catholicism the state church of the Roman Empire. And also he condemned other Christian creeds such as Arianism, and they say they are heretics and we can punish them. Only Catholics. Only Catholics. What were the Catholics? The Catholics was this guy, St. Peter, who started to build a political organization which they called the Roman Catholic Church. 200 years of political institution. No other political institution has stand so long. 2,000 years, 2,024 years of, of powerful story. No other institution in history, political institution in history stand so long. But they started to say, it was not only a spiritual thing. St. Peter said, let's make a government. Let's build up a political institution. If you're powerful, why? Because the philosophy was very powerful. They said really new things. And so they had people getting it too, and they said, let's start a form of government, the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman emperors say, the empire is declining. Let's put them into the Roman Empire so we see if we can survive. But the idea of the Roman Catholic Church is not to have a powerful politics in this life, because the real life is after that, is in salvation. So, Christian citizenship. Christian citizenship was the first universal citizenship for all humankind. Powerful new message. Open to everybody. No more distinction. Aristocrats, plebeians, citizens, slaves, men, women, was the first ideology to say humanity is, everybody is equal. Everybody can enter the Christian realm, the Christian law. So, was the first citizenship for all humankind, and this is why it was so powerful. But it was also an idea that this life, this world, is not that important. Because what really value is the other world. So, now we get into the Middle Ages. We're only gonna talk about the Middle Ages today. Why? Because it's not that important for the history of political thought. It's 1,000 years, for 400 after Christ to 1,400, after Christ. So yeah, after Christ. 400 after Christ to 1,400 after Christ. So it's 1,000 years, long time. It's not very important for the history of political thought, because it was mostly based on the Roman Catholic Church, and the Roman Catholic Church is based on religion, and religion is based on tradition. What does it mean? It means that the truth already exists, is written in the Holy Bible, and we have to stick with this. The best we can do is improve the interpretation of what is written in the Bible, so theology. But, they were not very much interested in building new political institutions, in improving politics in this world, And so this was the Middle Ages. Indeed, we still say, we Western people, when we want to say that a country is, a bit backward, we say they're still in the Middle Ages. When we see that countries, they're still dominated by the church, we say, they're still in Middle Ages. Like, for example, when we say one critic you can hear about Iran is that they are a theocracy and that is governed, the political power is the same as the religious power, and all the political power is in the Guida Suprema and in the church, let's say. So we say they still, are rule like in Middle Ages time. So our Persian students, what do you think about this comparison? Does it make sense or not? Is it true that in Iran we have political over religion or not? Or you think this is not a good parallel?
They're mixed together.
They're mixed together?
Yes.
What does it mean?
Just like the Catholic Church, the religion rules the political situation.
The religion rules the political situation, yeah. So this was, during the Middle Ages, what is the idea? The idea is, the ruler is the king. Who decide the ruler? The ruler is decided by God. The ruler is decided by God. Okay? So, the ruler is decided by God, but who knows what God says? The Pope, the Church. So we know that the ruler, the king, must go to the Pope and go like this and say, and the Pope say, yeah, I give you the crown. I give you the crown. So political power came from God through the intermediation of the Church. The Church was a political institution who was, a kind of intermediaries before the humankind and God. So they acted as the intermediaries and they were the most powerful people. But again, what is the Christian doctrine in terms of politics? What does it have to say? It says that here, political life, social life, human life here is not good because it's not interesting. Because it's, it's based, you have to suffer in this life, basically. And we, as Christianity, we value your suffering. We recognize that life is sufferance, and life is sufferance, you have to suffer, and you value your suffering. The more you suffer, the more you'll be happy in the next life. So, this is Christian doctrine. The more you suffer, the more you'll be happy in the other life. So you have to suffer. Why do you have to suffer a lot in this life? Why? According to the Catholic religion, to the Christian religion. Do you know it? Which sin?
The original sin?
Yeah. What is the original sin? What?
War.
No, there is an original sin.
Eve's and Adam's sin?
Yes. What did they do?
They
Yeah, they stole an apple. Pretty. So she stole an apple, Eve, and God got angry and said, you have to suffer for the rest of your life. Pretty bad, reaction. So they said, you stole this. Yeah, it's a metaphor, obviously. It's a metaphor. But if you look at the doctrine, God wanted humanity to be happy. So he moved Adam and Eve, he put in the Eden, which was the paradise on earth. So originally the paradise was on earth. But they say, don't eat this apple. Do whatever you want, but don't this apple. Eva, she went there and she stole the apple, and God got really angry and said, from now you have to suffer your life. You have to give birth with excruciating pain, and you have to suffer. So this is a metaphor, but it was the beginning. Women. Because Christianity didn't have a very good idea of women originally. Religion in general, they don't value women so much. So they say the women stole the apple, and right now you have to suffer for the rest of your life. Because the heaven, the paradise, is gonna be separated from the earth. We're gonna put it in another place, and in another place before getting there, you have to be examined on how was your life. If your life was good and you behaved according to Christian values, you can go to paradise again. So we're gonna go through this St. Augustine. St. Augustine was the most influential person who made this political theory, this doctrine formalized. He lived in a period in which, Catholics were still a bit persecuted, was not entirely legal. So he was born as a pagan. He was a Roman, and he was in the main Roman period religion. He was a pagan. Only in midlife he became a Christian. And he wrote, this very famous book, The Confessions, in which it has a kind of biography, in which he say how he transitionated from paganism to Christianity, how it changed your life one day, how this real spiritual vocation made him believe in the Catholic God, in the message of Jesus Christ. So it's a spiritual autobiography. Then he wrote another important book that is even more interesting for us, which is The City of God. Because this book, The City of God, made him the most influential Christian philosopher of all times. Was the first one who tried to, make a Christian political theory. So he wanted to make Christian sense of a world which was filled in an inordinate share of cruelty and danger. So let's try to understand what was happening at this time. At this time, it was 354, and the beautiful civilization built up by the Greeks, by the Romans, was collapsing. They went to the streets, and the streets were dangerous. There were a lot of violence. There were the barbarians coming from your ancestors, guys. Not your ancestors, coming from down and trying to destroy the Roman Empire, and the Romans wanted to, and also the Roman Empire was decaying. There was only it was pretty tough time. So Santo Augustine started to say, why so bad this world? Why you see so much violence? Why you see so much cruelty? Because when already the Romans liked violence very much, but the barbarians even more. They came, they destroyed, they sacked everything, they raped all women, they put the village on fire. I mean, not that the Romans didn't do it, but they did it to conquer and to build cities and political institutions and so on. But the barbarians were pretty much barbarians. So they like to sack, they like to destroy, and so on. So Santo Augustine started to say why world is so bad. And the City of God tries to explain what is the Christian understanding of this. Luisa, wanna come?
Yeah.
Sit here. You have your laptop. So, okay, let me say a couple of things before we give the word to Luisa. So, Luisa, right? Yeah. So, the City of God. It took Plato. You remember that Plato is used to say, there is the ideas, there is the forms, there are the perfect forms which are in the world of ideas, and there is the imperfect reality of the world, of the planet. There is this distinction. So he took this Platonic, now it's Neoplatonic distinction between the eternal city. You remember that Plato wrote this book of the Republic is about the perfect city. So, and he transformed it in the eternal city. The eternal city, and he made this just a position. There is the eternal city, the city of God, the paradise, the heaven, ruled by God, which rules well, and the corruptive life of the flesh, which is here, in this life. This life, basically, this world is fucked up by sin, because people tend to have sin, tend to be selfish, wants money, are selfish, are interested, in material things, are dominated by passion, want money, want sex, want power, and don't really behave according to the real value, the Christian values. So this earth is corrupted by sins. So, according to St. Augustine, there are two kingdoms. Then, this temporal earthly kingdom, which is not very important, which we don't have to take care so much, and the spiritual heavenly one, which is the only one who is really important. So you understand why during 1,000 years, so during the Middle Ages, they were not that much interested in making progress in society. The creeping effect of the first sin of Adam and Eve, gave this sense of omnipresence of sin. So he said, my colleague Cicero wrote, St. Augustine, my colleague Cicero wrote a great book on the Republic in which he said, the Republic, patriotism, we have to take care of the public thing, and be loyal, glory, pursue glory, and make our Republic more and more and more and more and more powerful, and blah 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 blah. This was Cicero. Augustine said, you're looking at things that are not important. And he was also living in a different moment because the Republic was already destroyed. So what we see around him was the playground of violent and self-deluded men. What he saw around himself is, people were acting here in this world, it's just, mad vanity. They want immediate glory. They want immediate satisfaction. But the temporal world is condemned by the original sin and is inhabited by sinners. All men and women, they are sinners in this world. They are corrupted. Since the moment Eve disobeyed God and stole the apple for their own pleasure, from that moment everything is dominated by sin. So Augustine extrapolated from the fallen nature of individual humans to the impossibility of social life without the coercive arm of the state. So he said, this is why we need political power, we need the state, we need the police, we need the army to dominate people because people are sinners. This life has no hope. So, what he says is political power is needed because of the corruptive nature of humans. So you have to respect the political power because it's needed. Dai a Cesare ciò che è di Cesare. Give to Caesar. Caesar is the metaphor of the Roman emperor, what is of Caesar. So you have to respect the state, you have to respect the power, you have to obey the power even when it's unjust, because there is no hope to have a good situation in this life, because this life is corrupted by sin. So it's a negative view of the world, of the material world, in which they say you have always to respect power, you have always to obey power, because it's okay. We need this because everybody's sinner, everybody's dominated by self-interest and so on. So that the Catholic doctrine is you have to respect power. However, because this is not important. So instead we have the city of God. The just republic cannot be in this earth. Different, Cicero said, let's build this beautiful thing. No, cannot be in this earth. The just republic, what Plato was looking for, the ideal city, exists, but is in the heaven, is in the sky. Is only the city which is governed directly by God. There is the immediate government of the king philosopher, which is God. So he said you have to obey to the Roman emperors, you have to obey to the kings, you have to obey to the monarch, but we're superior. The real power is the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church has has the spiritual power. So Thank you, Lisa, for volunteering for the first presentation. This, so you can plug in your computer and come here, so you also have the camera. Again, this visible? Or do we need our Iraq engineer? No need of much. Okay. Then can you up? Come. No. So far it was working. Hey, here we go. There you go.
Okay. So my presentation is The City of God by St. Augustine. And when St. Augustine was the bishop of Hippo, he was born in North Africa in 354. I won't go long, obviously, about his life. He transitioned, as the professor said, from pagan to Christian. In his middle age, he was highly influenced by the Bishop of Milan, Ambrose, and Neoplatonism. In also his stay in Milan, shaping his thinking, especially understanding the relationship between the physical and the spiritual worlds. I'm sorry, I forgot to. He was from North Africa, what is now Algeria, and this is music. He was barber. This is music from the barber. It should be people in around that time.
Yeah. I don't know. Just give me. Yeah. No. Okay, let's do without.
Would have been nice.
Yeah, but did this work?
It goes. Where it's good.
Where are you going now? I don't know, because I haven't met so much.
I don't know if you can hear something. Yeah. Okay. Then I'll just have to project with my voice without the microphone. Okay, so as I said, he was born in North Africa, and he shaped his thinking at the end, of in the Middle Age, especially understanding the relationship between the physical and spiritual worlds. He was big on St. Augustine because he wrote The City of God. So The City of God. City of God. When was it written? The City of God was written and prompted by the sack of Rome in 410 AD by the Visigoths, as the professor said, because people were blaming the fall of the empire on Christianity, and they found that they left the pagan gods. He wrote these 22 books in between 412 and 426 AD. What is it about? The city of God contrasts two cities, which is, as it said, the city of God, which represents those who live accordingly to God's will, seeking eternal salvation. It's a spiritual eternal city based on faith, grace, and divine justice, and the city of man, representing those who prioritize worldly pleasures, power, and self-interest. It's temporary, flawed, and doomed to decay. As I said before, it was a response to Rome's fall. And Augustine said that the fall of Rome was not because of, Christianity, but because of the moral corruption the city was fallen under. It also talks about divine providence and history. So for St. Augustine, he introduced this concept that history was not just like random events, it was a plan, it was like God's plan, it was divine intervention. And the ultimate triumph was through the city of God. He talked also about the role of government. Earthly governments are necessary to control human selfishness, but can never achieve true justice or peace, which only exists in God's kingdom. Another subject was Christianity versus paganism. He dismantled many of the pagan philosophies, asserting that only Christianity provides true moral and philosophical foundations. He also introduced the free will and salvation, that human beings are inherently corrupt due to original sin, and only God's grace, not human efforts or earthly success, can lead to salvation. Why is it important? This is very important because it shaped medieval political theology. The city of God influenced ideas about the role of church and state. It laid the groundwork for the idea that the church had the authority over secular rulers, things that we still see today. He also introduced the concept of history as divine plan, as I just said before. And this Christian view of history dominated the Western thought for centuries. Essentially, these 22 books help define Christian political philosophy, offering a vision of history, morality, and governance that influence both medieval and modern thought. The city of God was important because it reshaped the Western thought, the way that we see politics, history, and the relationship between the divine and earthly reigns. Now, I will read, the chapters 1 or 11, or if you want, check into Professor 1 second.
Both.
Both? Okay. So I have the chapter 1 here. It's an excerpt of the 19th book. And it goes like this. So, because I see that I must next discuss the proper ends of the two cities, namely the earthly and heavenly, I must first explain, insofar, the limits imposed by the plan of this work allow, the arguments by which mortals have struggled to make themselves happy in the mystery of this life. This is necessary in order to clarify the difference between their futilities and our hope, which God has given us, and its object, namely true happiness, which God will give us. This will be done not only through divine authority, but also for the sake of unbelievers, through reason. Concerning the ends of goods and evils, philosophers have engaged in many and varied disputes among themselves, but the question they have pursued with the greatest effort, turning it over in their mind, is what makes man happy? Or final goods. A final good is that for the sake of which other things are desired, but which in itself is desired of its own sake. And the final evil is that on account of which other things are avoided, but which is avoided on its own account. Hence, we now call the final good, not that thought which good is destroyed and so cease to exist, but that through which it is perfected and so exists fully. And we can call the final evil, not that through which evil ceases to be, but that through which it produces its greatest harm. Thus, these ends are the supreme good and the supreme evil. As I said, many who have professed the study of wisdom in the futility of this age have worked hard to discover these ends, as well as to obtain the supreme good and to avoid the supreme evil in this life. Although they wandered off in different directions, nevertheless the limit of nature did not permit them to deviate from the path of truth so far that they fail to place the final good and final evil in the soul, in the body or in both. To tripartite division of schools, Marcus Varro, in his book on philosophy, directed his attention diligently, and subtly scrutinizing a large number of different teachings. By applying certain distinctions, he easily arrived at 288 possible, though not necessarily actually schools. And that's the end of the exergo in chapter 1, and chapter 11 is this one, because the name of peace is also frequently used with respect to things which are subject to death. Where there certainly is no eternal life, we prefer to call the end of this city, where its highest good will be eternal life rather than peace. Of this end, the apostles say, now, indeed, having been liberated from sin and having become servants of God, you will now reward in satisfaction your true end in eternal life. This is by the Bible, Romans 6:22. On the other hand, eternal life would be taken by those who are not familiar with the sacred scriptures to include also the life of the wicked. One might think this either because certain philosophers profess the immortality of the soul, or also because our faith professes the unending punishment of the impious, who certainly could not be eternally tormented unless they also lived eternally. So that it can be understood more easily by all, it must be said that the end of the city in which it will have its highest good is either peace in eternal life or eternal life in peace. Peace is such a great good that even with respect to earthly and mortal things, nothing is heard with greater pleasure, nothing desired more longingly, and in the end, nothing better can be found. If I wish to speak on it somehow, what longer I will not, I think will be burdensome to readers, both because my subject is the end of the city and because the very sweetness of peace which is dear to all. Thank you.
Great, so very, very, very excellent presentation. Thank you so much. So, short caveat. Sure thing. This was an excellent presentation, but first, let's see. So, you're doing presentations in this course because when you finish your university, this is a crucial skill you have to develop. So, in your life, in your career, if you're gonna have a normal career, good career, you will find yourself in the need of doing presentations. So this is for you an opportunity to develop this skill. Many times in life, you will find, if you have a career in the field of political science and international relations, or in many other fields, you'll find yourself in the need of preparing a PowerPoint presentation and also to present this PowerPoint presentation. And so you have to learn it. And to learn that both of this is important. It's important that you prepare good slides, and also it's important that you prepare a good speech. Because if you only read slides, it doesn't work very well. So you have to combine the two things, a good speech and good slides. So this was a very good presentation. Thank you, because she exactly got what you have to do. So half of the presentation you present the book, when it was written, why it was written. And this was a very good explanation. Why? Because she focused on why St. Augustine felt the need of writing a book. So, a great book which makes history is for two reasons. First, because it say nice things, but also because he happened in the right moment to say the right thing in the right moment. And a great book always is written to answer a problem, to answer a question that is a big question in history, in society, So, a very important book is a book that, always the person who writes the book doesn't write the book just to make a political book. Doesn't write the book just to make philosophical exercise and to say, oh, I'm very intelligent. No. Because there is a problem in history, in society, it wants to address, to change the future course of history, to fix this problem, to address this problem, to change the course of human history. And for St. Augustine, this was the point in which, you know, Christianity was growing up, and people were saying, you know, the pagans, the Roman Empire was saying, the Christian Empire is about to be destroyed because of the growth of Christianity. You know, we still have we still have this idea that when you have the wrong ideas, they're gonna punish you, that you'll be punished. So he has this problem to demonstrate that this was not, you know, the reason. And at the same time, he wanted to found a political doctrine of Christianity. So this was what he was trying to do. So he wrote this book for this reason, and he insisted on this separation of the health of the city of where we live, on the material life of every day, of the material life of this earth, which is corrupted, which is bad, because it's dominated by sin, it's dominated by passion, because we're all corrupted by this passion, and, you know, the heavenly city of God, which is dominated by the value of God. So there is this separation according to St. Augustine, the city of God, the civitate Dei. You know, he writes that the perfect city, the perfect city, the perfect state, the perfect political organization can only be achieved in another world, which is the heaven, which is the city of God. So basically, it comes to an end all the classical ancient philosophy in which Plato, Aristotle, Cicero, they say what is the best form of government. They were trying to answer this question: what is the best form of government? Can we, political philosophers, design the perfect form of government? And St. Augustine said, no, we cannot, because the just republic, the perfect republic, the just society cannot be on this earth. Can only be in the city of God, in the kingdom of God. So we obey political power, we obey political authority, but the real point is the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church know how can we transition from this life full of sin to the city of God. So this is gonna stand for 1,000 years. Middle Ages, 1,000 years. We have to fully understand Middle Ages. Why? Because only if we understand Middle Ages, we will understand what is Enlightenment. What is Enlightenment? Because Enlightenment is the reaction to Middle Ages. Because all the principle we still have in Western society was the principle developed to emancipate humanity from this dominion of the Catholic Roman Church, which was developed along centuries and centuries. Thank you. Thank you, Forzi. Thank you. Why? Why is so difficult life? What about now? Why? Why? It's a persecution. Okay, so what about now? Yay! So we're talking about again 1,000 years from 100 after Christ to 1,400 after Christ. In this period, the Roman Catholic Church was the only big centralized and organized authority across medieval Europe, and it was considered to be the source of political power, meaning that if you want to be a king, you must receive the crown from the Pope, because the Pope is certifying that this crown has been accepted or ordered by God. So you can rule in this world. So the Pope was putting you this crown in, and the message was, look, God has chosen you as the king in this moment. You can rule but we are the Catholic Church. We are the ones who have the direct contact with the real world, the world in which, you know, the real perfect political organization is decided. So, first, we have to know that there was not any more education at the time. So the only literature members of the society were the clergy. We didn't have printed books. So there were the monks who were copying the books. They were the only ones who knew how to write properly. So all the knowledge, all the culture was detained by the church, because the clergy was the only literate, and they were copying the books who were relevant, obviously, for Christian doctrine from religion. So religion became the touchstone of all discourses, including political discussions. So political discussions meant, yeah, we want to talk about politics, but to talk about politics, we have to understand what God wants for this political problem. So we have to, understand through theology, through reading the Bible, what would be the right answer to this political problem according to God, according to theology, according to religion. So this is 1,000 years in which towns were smaller and everything was dominated by realms who stayed in castles. In the castles, you have the feudal lords, because you have the monarch chosen by the Pope, then the monarch choose, the local ruler. Valvassore, Valvassino, Valvassallo means the local rulers. So, yeah. So, and you had this, mix between the ancient uses of the German tribes and the uses of Roman Christianity, and this was the Middle Ages. So the point that we have to understand is that in Middle Ages, politics were not perceived as an autonomous reality. Politics was perceived as the consequence of religion. So you have to understand that if you have a political issue, you have to understand what would be the answer, not for political interest, but for the doctrine, the good decided by God. So it was completely intertwined, politics and religion. Politics was the same thing as moral Christianity, our moral Christian values. The only answer to political problems were to be searched for in religious values. So this was for 1,000 years. This means that after the Middle Ages is a long process, centuries and centuries and centuries of emancipating politics from religion. Right now, Western civilization is characterized by this strong separation between politics and religion. In most Western states, we have a situation in which we recognize the freedom of religion. In your private life, you can do whatever you want religiously, but in the public life, the state is autonomous from the church. There, the state was directly derived from the church. So this is the situation. And so we call it secularization. Secularization is the slow and progressive process of separating religion from politics and making two completely different things, which took a lot of time. So right now I'm very curious to understand how in your country, so what's the relationship between the church and the political power in the different countries, since you have 16 different nationalities. So I want to start with our Iranian colleagues, because they live in an Islamic republic, right? So can you shortly explain how is the relationship between church and political power in Iran? Who wants to answer? Yeah.
Actually, not the church, the mosque, or the religious people, or the government. Right now, they govern everything. They make separation because everything is changing. People change. The house, new things. So they cannot control the people of Iran as with the political or religious things that they used to use. But now everything is changed. They cannot control, so they trying to make dictatorship. They trying to make suppression because of the corruption. Because as we see in the Middle Ages of the Europe, we see corruption everywhere. So it's the same right now in Iran. Is making because we cannot see the religion and the government at the same time because they have different ways. Religious goes left, government go right. So they cannot be in a one path. So we see so many problems that governments totally is in the hand of the religion. We don't have the government, we have only religion. I can say like that.
And so people are revolting against this domination of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
And
so
so you
many-
think they will overcome or not?
What?
Will they win or not? People of political power.
Historically, Iranian started the first revolution so many years ago, around 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But the American, the British, they overthrow the national government of Iran. So the king come back. The king become
The Shah.
Shah, yes. The Shah come back. So it started to make a new dictatorship. Then people get angry. They change the government. Then the Ayatollahs came. They make dictatorship again. So in my opinion, yes. If the Western countries want it, if they don't want to, why I choose Westernification? Because of that. Because the Western countries, they have their own interests. So because Iran is very important in every aspect. So if they don't want to change for their own interest, Iranian people are ready right now. 80% of the Iranian people are supporting them, and they want to change.
Right. Thank you. So, what about Morocco, Sabrina? How is the relation?
Yeah, so Morocco has a monarchy, it's a kingdom. We have the Shadi Islam, which means that the king descends from the prophet of Islam, Muhammad.
So the king is a descendant of Muhammad.
Yes. I think it's the king of Morocco and the king of Jordan as well. There's
All right.
a relationship there. However, the difference I think between Morocco and Iran is that the king sort of acts with virtue. He acts with common interest of the people, unlike his father, which was more
Unlike his father.
dictatorship. So yeah, I think there is a big combining politics and religion. There's still the Islamic law.
There is still Islamic law,
Yes,
right?
in marriage.
And you cannot drink.
It's just
Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah.
If you've been to Morocco, it's
Yeah.
it's a law on paper, but everyone drinks.
Everyone drinks.
Everyone drinks.
So it's intertwined.
Intertwined.
Formally it's intertwined, but they
Formally,
behave.
but
Yeah.
everyone does.
Yeah. Is he gay? Is it true? Yeah.
The new generation is forming to be more very open, but I think always on paper and law it will be according to Islamic law.
But is it true that the king is gay?
Uh,
You wouldn't say that. Yeah.
taboo.
So what about you? Where are you from? Kyrgyzstan. How is the politics religion relationship? No. So democratic, pure separation of power. Yeah.
I'm from Russia, and Russia, according to the institution, is still a country, but Orthodox Church has a very big impact on the society and the political life of the country. During the Tsar empire, it was like it had a big impact on the empire. Then during the USSR time,
uses the church to propaganda and like it's not church in the charge of decisions. I think it's politicians who uses the church to affect and influence people who are religious, and so they just use Orthodox religion to form new laws and like kind of say that it's in respect of church. So I think I would say that politicians are in charge, and it's not church who controls the power in the Russia, but politicians who use the church.
So they use the church to build consensus and to support their. Because they say our politics is according to the Orthodox Church.
Yeah, yeah. So and it emphasizes people who believe in God.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. So because you know that's before, like in like let's say religious was abolished in USSR, right? It didn't say so. Why? Because the Tsar and let's say the Tsar and the church, Nancy Bender they were working pretty much together because the Tsar was also saying, yeah, I'm defending the Christian values and so on. So, but then in countries like in socialist countries, religion was abolished. Why? Because Marxist ideology says we are completely enlightenment and we're rationalist and we don't want a domination of the church over the people. We want to make the city of God here on earth by making communism. So they abolished. Right now, yeah, what I think is that in Russia you have autonomy between the two things, but yeah, as you say, politicians are trying to use also Orthodox religion because it has a lot of it's socially very important. Many people in society have religions, as far as I understood. I don't know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
actually, like about things like communists, the socialist state abolished religion is not really because communist country like Vietnam and China have Confucianism as a base for their society and Buddhism, so they tolerate Buddhism and Confucianism. But they dislike Christianity because they see Christianity as European domination over their national identity. So they tolerate religion, but they specifically there's a shadow dislike of Christianity because Christianity is usually sold as weapons of colonialism.
Very good. So you're from Vietnam.
Yes,
Vietnam how is the
Vietnam is a communist state.
yeah. I know. So is the separation, right?
Yes, but we tolerate all religion because Vietnamese communism was kind of like when we fight for independence, the need for unification of all people against the French made the leader at that time change like the little bit about religion and class, like they tweak a bit so it benefits all of the people, of all of the class, all of the religious group in the country to fight against the French and later the Americans.
Yeah. But so right now it is the political power is
Yeah, it's
totally
separated
independent
because
from
it's principally it's a communist country, so
yeah.
church and state will be separated.
Yeah. But church is tolerated.
Yeah, they are tolerated, especially if the church it's not church, it's like pagoda, because the majority of Vietnamese is Buddhist.
Buddhist. So Buddhist religion is tolerated.
It's very much tolerated.
Very much.
Yeah, it's very much tolerated. Everybody, including communists, practice Buddhist religious values.
Yeah. But why you say Confucius? You see Confucianism as a religion.
Yes, it is a religion in China and Vietnam. It is the base, even like a base of society for a country like Vietnam, Japan, and Korea.
Yeah. But so you consider it a religion.
Yeah, it's both religion and philosophy at the same time. It's like a system of belief.
It's a system of belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Why don't you make a presentation on Confucius?
I don't understand it enough
Exactly.
to talk about it
Yeah.
because I don't even like know how to read Chinese text.
Okay, but I mean,
Can I make a presentation on Confucius?
sure.
I
Yeah.
studied by China and the University of Wisdom.
Very good. So you give your name to Alisa then, okay? So we can add you to the program. Then we will see where we make it in the program. Because, like for example, for me, what I think, but I might be wrong. Like maybe you can tell. So we start Western political thought with Socrates, who started a new method of thinking and blah blah blah. I think Confucius kind of did the same, no? In Asia, started a new system of thinking, no?
Sometime he started, but also the Chinese people, they don't trust in one religion. They can be Buddhists and Confucians and Christians at once. So they believe in all. It is like a kind of mix of their religions in China. And Confucius also, he made the way of thinking that he wrote in his book, it's very important for the Chinese people like now also, more than Chinese people.
Interesting. Where are you from?
The Kyrgyzstan.
You're Kyrgyz, but you know a lot about China.
I have studied Oriental studies.
Okay. Okay. So how do you think is the relationship between religion and politics in China?
In China, they
Yeah.
are mostly communists, so the religion now is the secondary thing, but it's not in the politics, but it's in people's minds who run the politics. So it's still important, but it doesn't run the politics directly in my mind.
Very good. Thank you. When can you make the presentation? How long do you need? How much time?
Like a week.
A week? Okay. Next week we're gonna go for it. Like Monday.
Okay.
Good, thank you. So, any others wants to say something about the relationship between politics and religion in their countries because it's special? Like, for example, in Italy, how is in Italy, Italian students, how is the relationship between religion and church in Italy?
During this time,
Yeah.
good.
What do you mean good? How is it organized?
Because of our president, because she really believes in religion and
Yeah.
the traditional family and all the she's very conservative traditional values that are
Our what?
what?
What did you say? Our?
Our president.
No.
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
Sorry.
President is Sergio Mattarella.
Yes.
Prime Minister
Our
Giorgia
Prime
Meloni.
Minister is really conservative, he believes in our traditional values and of course they are really close to the vision of our religion, of the Pope and the Church.
Yeah, but are the state and the church saying united or separated? Church and state in Italy, religion and politics are the same things or they are separated?
No, they're separated.
Yeah. Yes, be quiet.
Because the church is a state.
Yeah. It's a state. So what we have here in Italy is, you have the president of the republic, you have the prime minister, but they not also, they can be conservative and believe in religious values, but there is a separation. I mean, the priests are the priests, the ministers are the ministers, so there is a separation. Here in Italy, we also have a state within the state, which is the city of Vatican, which is an independent state with their own president of the republic, let's say, which is not a republic, but is the Pope, is the leader of the church. So we had this separation, but for centuries, all the area around Rome was the empire of the church, was the Stato Pontificio, the state of the Pope. So for years here, the Pope dominated politics, but right now is kind of separated, even though there is a big influence in religion. Like there was a big discussion when to make Italy united, the Italians have to, attack and conquer the city of Rome and make the capital. So they have to fight against the church and we conquer, basically, military. Then there was a big thing to say, yeah, but don't be angry at us because we're also Catholics. The Pope was very angry. So he said, okay, I'm not gonna get angry, but first, you're not gonna make me pay taxes all over the churches because otherwise I'm gonna get bankrupt because we have a church every 3 streets. Second, So no taxes. Second, you help me. Third, you make compulsory religion, 1 hour religion teaching compulsory in all schools. I'm gonna send you my priest to teach religion and you're gonna pay with the state money. And they said, okay, let's do it because we wanna have a good relationship with the church and so on. So it is separated, but we have a discussion. We still have a discussion because, for example, we have this, religion of compulsory teaching of Catholic principles in Italy, which is like this. But we are separated. The church and the state is separated in that no leader of religious institutions like priest and pope and so on are political leaders. This is what makes difference. Like in Morocco, for example, the king is also the leader of the church. It's the same thing. It's considered to be chosen by God. Other examples. Chile.
See, in Chile, since 1925, we've been a laic state, but as any other Catholic country, we're still dominated very much by the religious aspects when it comes to laws and stuff. For example, divorce became legal in 2004.
What?
Divorce became legal in 2004 in Chile because most of our politicians from the right are Catholics. We are not Catholics like Roman Catholics, they are or from the numeraries or from the Opus Dei. So which are right, like I don't know if you call them cults inside the Catholic Church. So yeah, very much like posh people tend to be powerful people with money that make the laws move around are very Catholic.
Yeah.
And but the Catholic Church is kind of alright. It's on its own thing. They don't really intersect that much. For us, for example, right now we don't have gay marriage, but we do have civil unions.
Yeah.
And gay marriage is about to be approved. So it's but for example, abortion is very much illegal.
Very much.
So we do have these balances of the church and the state.
Exactly. So the point is that, but it's still separated. The point is like what we have, the Enlightenment. Let's say the Enlightenment. The principles of the Western civilization was the principle of getting rid of Middle Ages, in which political leaders and religious leaders were kind of linked, in which they believed that political power is derived from religious power, is derived from God. They believe that political principles are the same as moral principles and religious principles. This is what you have to understand from the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages were a situation in which politics was under religion. So religion was the Catholic Church was the most important political institution. And so politics was considered a consequence of religion, of moral values. They were considered the same things. So you're a good politician if you strictly follow the Bible, if you strictly follow what the Pope say, if we strictly adhere to religious values. So they were very, very much intertwined. Okay? Then we have the 3 following centuries that we will start from tomorrow is the history of the slow separation between religion and politics. We still have, many countries in the contemporary world in which you still have a full union of religion and political power to different degrees. Like if you go to Afghanistan, you have the Taliban who are governing. We don't have. Do we have Afghans here? No. Pakistani. No, Pakistan. That's strange because we always have Pakistan.
Yes, we have one, but he isn't
Isn't
here.
here. So Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran. You have many countries in which is still very much intertwined. Then, for example, like in the case of Morocco, is intertwined, but the monarch, as we say, is enlightened in the sense that even if it's intertwined, is making secular politics, progressive politics. Then we have the Western state. The Western system is separated, but in many Western countries you have a separation between politics and religion, but religion is still very important in society because people believe in values, believe in religious values and so on, and so politicians take the religious discourse to legitimate themselves, as for example she said for Chile, or it's happening in Russia. Like here, for example, in Italy, for 50 years after World War II, we have a government, the party-state government, who was called Christian democracy. And yesterday we had the election in Germany. The party who won the election is called Christian democracy. This is, the politician who say, I'm politician, I want to do, I'm democratic, so I want to have independent, secular politics and democratic, but I'm also Christian because I want a democracy who is oriented by Christian values, so I take the votes for all the Christian. I get sure I get the votes from the Christian. So Italy is a very Christian country, and for 50 years after World War II, I was governed by the Christian democracy. It's a smart way to take votes from the Christians. So thank you very much. Tomorrow we're gonna address a thinker who made the separation between religious and politics for the first time.